I get a hell yeah? Let me get a hell yeah. Spirit, can I get a hell yeah? Let me get a hell yeah.
She's so concerned.
Welcome, brother.
She's watching you so intensely.
Jesus Christ, Marty. Stop.
The answer is no. Marty's not good over there.
My name is Fred Stewart, and welcome to Hot Graves and Omens.
Welcome.
With me, as always, my lovely co-host.
Hi, it's me. It's Taylor. And Spirit's actually on camera.
Spirit, you're trying so hard to not fall asleep immediately. Look at that.
And off you go.
And with us running cameras and sound and breathing heavily as usual, Mr. Marty Cowick. Live from Earth, quote unquote.
Question mark?
Yeah.
Marty, where are you exactly?
Earth.
Okay, that doesn't answer. Is it Earth or is it, Earth?
Just Earth, dude. I don't know what to say.
I don't know, dude. This is fucking.
He's live from Earth.
This episode's going downhill already, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I changed my Instagram handle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Now it's Dill Hole. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. I got fucking bamboozled, dude. Don't you fucking ever bamboozle me on this show again, dude. I'm at my breaking point. That's it. That's my 13th reason why. You're going into my fucking note. No. I'm kidding. Kind of.
Do you
Now,
like me? Circle yes or no.
That's the
note.
Oh, it's yeah. That's awesome. So, I got some true crime news this week, and I just want to I got one that's a little more fun, and then one that's not as fun. So a police detective says he was unnerved to find a U.S. Army rocket launcher along with crack cocaine when searching a suspicious truck in central Massachusetts. Comes from AP News. It's fucking great. It's awesome.
That's what I always put in my truck.
Yeah, a fucking rocket launcher?
And cocaine, yeah.
Yeah, that's checks out. Now, Detective Alex Sinney from the Sutton Police Department told the Associated Press on Wednesday that his first concern after finding the M190 launcher under the backseat of the truck was for obviously everyone's safety. They were able to determine that it was unloaded. They secured it and then searched the vehicle to make sure that there wasn't any rockets or anything like that.
I'm fucking glad it was unloaded.
Yeah, the driver of the truck was, quote, pretty vague about how he got his hands on the launcher and what he planned to do with it. So that's pretty fun.
It's for protection.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, I thought this was America. he's like, this is my Second Amendment right to conceal carry.
Like, sir, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? He's like,
dude, it's like
my rocket launcher.
Well, it's the
Do you count a rocket launcher?
It's the classic police joke. When they're searching someone, you got any guns, knives, rocket launchers on you? And the guy's like, yeah. And they're like, huh?
Actually, yes.
And he just slides his fucking M190 on his back. And he's like, takes out his cop car, dude.
Like, it's fucking wild.
Now, I can't remember off the top of my head. Did we do Robert Pickton with Marty?
I feel so. I remember the name.
I feel like we did.
I think so.
So for those of you who don't know who Robert Pickton is, he's a serial killer from Canada known as the pig farmer killer.
I did that.
Super horrific case. Was taking sex workers off the streets and killing them in horrific ways and then feeding them to his pigs. So bad news. The notorious serial killer known as Robert Pickton is now eligible for fucking day parole. They're going to let this man back on the streets for a day at a time.
There's a lot you can do in a day, though. I don't...
Dude, there's a lot. You can fucking disappear in a day, dude. It's Canada.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, though the Parole Board of Canada says no hearing has been scheduled, his victims' families are bracing for what could be ahead. In a quote, they said... that Pickton should not walk on this earth. He does not deserve to take one step where he is. said Michelle Pineault, whose daughter was Stephanie Lane, was just 22 when she vanished in 1997, and her DNA was found at Picton's Port Coquitlam pig farm. So she was one of the victims. And dude, it's terrifying that they're even like gonna even consider the thought of let Robert fucking Picton out on the streets.
I'm really surprised they didn't do like life without parole.
Is
that a thing in Canada?
I don't know. Canada's fucking weird, dude. So, and just for those of you who don't know about Robert Picton, Picton was charged with murdering 26 women and convicted on 6 counts of second-degree murder in 2007. Though eligible for day parole, like I said, board hearings are not automatic, and Picton would have to apply. He's in his 70s now, and I honestly believe, wholeheartedly, that if Picton does get day parole, right?
Yeah.
Someone is gonna beat him to death.
Probably.
Isn't he the guy too that says like he's found God or whatever in jail?
Oh, they all fucking say that.
Yeah, they all say that. But I mean, I'm just saying, if I remember correctly, is that like his whole spiel?
Yeah, probably. With Picton, who fucking knows? This dude's a fucking
those
tool.
goddamn Canadians, they're like, no, you murdered 12 people. How about some free health care, buddy?
Hey, buddy, you seem like a nice stand-up guy after murdering 30-something women. Let's go and let you out after only a couple of years.
So I just looked it up because I was curious. Apparently, the Supreme Court of Canada in 2022 unanimously struck down life without parole. So after 25 years... You're for murder. After 25 years for murder, you're eligible for parole in Canada.
Yeah, dog. He's got 26 women on that fucking count, dude. That should have just been that should have been a cut and dry case right there. Been like, well, time to hit the old dusty trail, and you just put your one fucking round into 357. You're like, take him out to the field. Just get rid of him. What the fuck? What the fuck is he gonna do out in public that's gonna be worthwhile or anything? He's like, oh, bud, go down to that Quick Trip and go get me a nice soda before returning to my cell. It's like, no. Someone should come out of the shadows and stab him in the fucking neck with an X-Acto knife is what they should do. Just saying. Not trying to give any ideas. But he's at a Supermax prison in Quebec, just so you guys know. It's probably the only one that's out there.
I don't understand how they decided that it was unconstitutional to receive life without parole. Apparently the court said offenders who have no realistic possibility of parole are deprived of any incentive to reform. Which, I mean, if you're a serial killer, you've killed 26 people, I don't think you're going to reform anyways. You killed 26 people.
No. No, dude, you think like as much as like his you look at fucking Dahmer when he was like before he was had his head fucking smashed in with a weight in prison, he was like, I finally found God and God is with me now and he's always with me. And then some guy was just like, that's really cool, squish, just there's what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do for his day pass? Easy joke, go to a petting zoo? No? All right.
I don't know. I don't think that that
I don't think there should, dude. There should,
I mean, like, obviously being eligible for parole and like getting parole, even like just a day pass, yeah. Is still like, it's not a guarantee that he's gonna get it.
Yeah, they're gonna look at him and be like, so Robert, what are you in it for? Yeah, no. Like,
it still has to go through a hearing and everything.
Wait. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Dennis Rader getting a fucking day pass. Like BTK getting a day pass.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just want to go fishing. And you're like,
I don't fucking trust you to do that.
How about instead of you going fishing, we fish your body out of the lake. How about that? Is that a better option?
How about you just fucking sit here?
Yeah. How about we just how about instead of you, how about every time that you apply for your day pass and you don't get accepted, we just take something out of your cell? Before we start with your bed. How about that?
I feel like they would start with something like slightly more like
I think the bed
not
is
obvious.
I think I think the bed is perfectly acceptable.
First they just take like toilet seat cover.
Oh, dude.
Like it slowly gets more inconveniencing from there.
Well, it's prison. I don't think they have toilet seat covers. I think it's all metal.
Goodbye toilet.
Yeah.
they take the rim off. They like saw it off or something.
Yeah, they're like, every time you shit from here on out, you're going to be fucking bracing your socks, making sure it doesn't overflow. It was so nice to get some laughs because today we have a not so awesome fun episode. Now, last week I gave you a little hint. And if you're looking at the title of this week's episode,
you're cheating.
You're cheating, and it's not fair, so stop it. But I said, I said, what did I say? I said devil anxiety. Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I said it has to do with devil anxiety. Well, this week we are going to be covering the infamous case of the West Memphis 3, which is a huge, huge case in the grand fucking umbrella that is the Satanic Panic.
Oh.
And I fucking, dude, the Satanic Panic lives in my head. I got a devil on my shirt right now. That's not on purpose. I was just wearing the shirt today. This case, and it is very rare that I do this in HGO. I have cut out a bunch of really fucked up stuff, but just as a forewarning, this case and this story is horrific. So if you are unable to handle that, that's perfectly fine. Go watch the Wendy Bagel episode, which or go listen to it rather, because we didn't film that one, or go watch the 100th episode, or watch the Choke Cherry Canyon, which that one's also really fucked up, but Marty did a really good job on it. So one of my favorites.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good job, Marty.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Marty. And when we finally do the Doc Boys take over HGO, we'll make Charles write an episode.
Yeah.
And oh, dude, making Charles read would be so
Stupid
funny.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, dude, I can't wait, dude. He's gonna be like, on May.
It's gonna be like he. You're like the.
I know that he listens to these too, so fucking bald.
Bald piece of shit.
It's crazy. Are you guys ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, Marty, hit that beat. All right. Now it's time to get super serious. Okay? No more fooling around. On May 5th, 1993. Sorry, let me try that again. May 5th, 1993, 7 p.m. A 911 call is placed to the Crittenden County 911 Emergency Dispatch Center. On the end of the phone is a man named John Byers. He was reporting that his adoptive son, Christopher Byers, age 8, and his friends Stephen Branch, age 8, and Michael Moore, also age 8, have not returned home after playing with one another nearby. They were last spotted playing with one another around 6:30 that evening. With law enforcement en route, friends and neighbors began a frantic search for the boys. They began combing the neighborhood, calling out their names, trying to find, where they could possibly be, maybe thinking they got lost in the dark. They began treading through the murky creeks of West Memphis, primarily searching through the Robin Hood Hills area, which is a desolate forest area, which I've actually looked up on Google Maps prior to this.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more modern. This takes place obviously in '93, so it's a dense amount of time between then and now. So I imagine back
over
then
30 years.
Yeah, so I imagine back then it was probably a lot more forest. There's probably a lot more things, a lot more desolate, because most of the area of West Memphis is it's Arkansas. It's fucking, there's not a lot going out there. it's all just abandoned buildings and old farms and dilapidated just nonsense. But the search parties searched long into the night for the trace of the boys and came up empty-handed. The next morning around 8 a.m., more police joined the search for the 3 boys. Now, the Crittenden County Search and Rescue Team was involved in helping coordinate the effort to try to find them. Determined to find the boys and bring them home, once again, the personnel focused primarily on the Robin Hood Hills area where the boys were last to have been seen, which was, again, not too far away from their house. They formed a human chain as wide as they could, spacing out, and, I mean, as far as the eye could see, it was volunteers coming through the woods. Despite this, they, once again, did not find any trace of the boys. But around 1:45 p.m. that day, that changed. A juvenile probation officer named Steve Jones spotted a boy's black shoe floating in a muddy creek that led to a major drainage canal in Robin Hood Hills. The officer began to track his way down the muddy creek and unfortunately discovered the remains of the 3 boys. And like I said at the beginning of this, I have cut out as much of this as I possibly could to try to keep the story coherent enough. But they were found bound, naked, drowned, and effectively mutilated. I have chosen to skip a large portion of the description of the boys' bodies, but take my word for it, and as someone who read crime scene reports and read everything, it's fucking horrific. The way these kids were found is nothing short of just animalistic. Autopsies by forensic pathologist Frank J. Peretti indicate that Christopher died of, quote, multiple injuries, while Stephen and Michael died of multiple injuries plus drowning. Where they were found in the creek is significant because they were caught on a series of branches. The shoelaces that they were tied up with shoelaces that were taken off their shoes, and that's what effectively got caught on the sticks, and that's where they were found. Law enforcement believed that the boys were assaulted and killed in the location where they were found at, while critics argued that the assault at least was unlikely to have occurred at the creek. Personally, I think it happened just kind of in between. I think they maybe were riding around, they saw the woods, were like, oh, let's go mess around in the woods, and then somebody or some buddies were back there and killed these kids. Regardless of the case, 3 8-year-old kids were dead, and police had no suspects or motives. But for some reason, Chief Investigator Gary Gitchell and his what could be only described as goons believe that the murderers were the work of satanic ritual sacrifice performed by a cult. With absolutely no fucking evidence of that.
Surprise, the cops are being stupid.
It's immediately they're
like, I think Satan's behind this one.
And what's even fucking weirder about this is that they also had a suspect in mind immediately. Right?
Weird.
And we'll get to that in a second, but the one thing that's really important to note is that, like, some people criticize the fact that they're like, why was a juvenile police officer, probation officer there? Why was he lurking around the woods? Like, maybe he did it, But it's also like, he's technically law enforcement. So he was out there probably just combing the woods, assisting. But Gary Gitchell was like also spotted like lazily holding a perimeter through the night, like just sitting in his car, just smoking cigarettes, and like not really preserving any sort of evidence or caring about forensic shit. Like they were just letting people walk around the fucking crime scene. It's something that we talk about time and time again of like, why are you so stupid? Like, I just want to grab them in the head and like be like, why are you so dumb? It's 93. It's not like it's fucking 73 or 72. Yeah. They're like, what's this DNA shit you're talking about? It's the fucking 90s. We've solved who knows how many homicides by this point with DNA. And they're just like, yeah, we'll let fucking Steve walk through it and just see what he thinks. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? But, sorry, just had to get that out. I'll have more to say about them later.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
To do that. Because, like, I mean, like, in the 90s, like, no, it wasn't super advanced like it is now.
By no means, but comparatively
like,
in 81, when the first ever case, I think it was like 81, the first ever case done by DNA was done, to now is a fucking huge jump.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's not like it's like a unknown thing. It's not like it's not important.
Oh, no. And I'll also talk about it again here in a little bit about some of the stuff they found. But now that you know the crime, it's time that we talk about the three of the West Memphis three. We're going to start with the youngest, go to the oldest. We'll start with Jason Baldwin, who's age 16 at the time of the crimes, Jesse Miskelly, age 17, and Damien Eccles, age 18. Now, not much is really known about Jesse other than, much like Jason and Damien, his early life wasn't the greatest. Damien Eccles and Jason Baldwin were high school dropouts, known for vandalism and shoplifting, respectively. They were just it's small town scumbag, kids. We're like, we'll go, steal a fucking candy bar and take shit and just doing dumb shit because there's not anything to do.
Yeah.
In his book, Life After Death, Eccles described his first and what seems to be the only encounter with Miss Kelly. And this really stuck out in my head because I actually just finished this book this morning. And this is also our huge source for this week's episode is Life After Death by Damien Eccles, which I highly recommend you go listen to because it's fuck or read or whatever. It's horrific. And then the WM3WestMemphis3.org. But basically, in short, they Damien and Jason walk into a trailer because Jason's like, let's go hang out with fucking Jesse. Doesn't know Jesse at all. Walks in and Miss Kelly's just sitting on a couch or sitting in a chair, and then his mom's like, get out the fucking way, I'm trying to watch TV. And he's like, oh, okay. And then they just have a short conversation. And then he's like, all right, bye. And then they just leave. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much really the only main encounter they has. And he occasionally saw him around, around. It's West Memphis. It's not very big.
Yeah. So
you would occasionally see him around, but nothing, they weren't hanging out every day and bullshitting and doing stuff. That was mainly Jason and Damien.
Okay.
They were fucking, they were tight. They were always hanging out, always doing stuff. But yeah, that's about it. That's about the whole crux of their encounter. And I really want to preface that they're not really super close,
Yeah.
They're just a friend of a friend, kind of a friend, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. But Eccles describes his home life as being troubled, brutal, and loving all at the same time. He, throughout that book and throughout hearing everything and getting all this stuff, basically it's all just notes of a super abusive household of just get fucking beat by this person, get beat by this person, but now this person's nice to me because now I got beat, now they're gonna be nice to me because I also got beat, and then it just goes back and forth, and they're just fucking just Stockholm syndroming this kid. It's a literal child, and up through his entire life prior to his arrest. With that, Eccles gets which he described as his first love. He finds a fucking old trench coat and a dilapidated building, essentially, puts it on, and he's like, I'm never taking this thing off. This is fucking cool. I love this shit. And just kind of started adopting this gothic dark style,
Okay.
And with Eccles and Baldwin, they start becoming close friends. They start hanging out a lot more, start doing a lot of things together, and they begin to bond over their shared love of their gothic fashion, of Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Twisted Sister, Ozzy Osbourne, and so forth and so on. They fucking love their metal. They love heavy metal. And what was really crazy to me about this whole story is that, like, Eccles would talk about in his book about how he had a stepdad because his mom and his dad separated, and when his mom got married to his stepfather, that's when everything started like fucking twisting up inside his life essentially. It's a lot of psychological mind games fucking with this kid's mind, but nobody in his life would bring up metal, what he was listening to, in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like his mom would kind of be like, I don't know about that, what's this Guns N' Roses stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know about this rock and roll music. It's 93, but it's it's like, I don't know about this rock and roll music. Meanwhile, his stepdad was like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't fucking listen to it. He can listen to it all he wants. Nobody seems to really care, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, yeah, he just likes that music. I don't see what the problem is. There's nothing burning yet. It's just like everything's chill.
Yeah.
And it was easy for them to bond over their love of metal because, like, again, there was nothing to do in the Bible Belt of West Memphis.
Yeah.
Truly, go look at West Memphis today. There's not a lot to do, even today. So Eccles then got a girlfriend, and there's a whole long series of stories about it of him, like being like, I love you. And then she's like, I love you too. And they're like, you can never see each other ever again. So they do the classic teenage runaway, and they run off, destined to be with each other forever. They end up breaking into a trailer during a rainstorm because who the fuck wants to be in the rain? And police showed up, and they arrest Eccles for burglary. Just him. She gets to go home.
Okay.
So Eccles then spent several months in a mental institution in Arkansas, and afterward received full disability status from the Social Security Administration. At the trial, Eccles' doctor would testify that Eccles suffered from serious mental illness categorized by a grandiose of precursory delusions, auditory and visual hallucinations, fucking disordered thought processes, and substantial lack of insight, and chronic and incapacitating mood swings.
Okay.
And that's after the trial, which we haven't got to yet. And I feel like I would probably have the same fucking opinion as well. Not about him. I'd probably be experiencing the same things, especially about what's about to happen. So, I'm probably wondering, how did these three just random kids get lumped into one of the most infamous and violent murders ever? But don't worry, we're going to get to it. So, a triple homicide is extremely unusual, and particularly when the victims are children and unrelated to one another, right? Usually it would be like a famicide thing, or, just a Munchausen by proxy, so on and so forth. So far, 2 documentary films have been made about this case, and it shows no interest and no sign of fading at this point. Obviously, we're covering it now. The facts surrounding the Robin Hood Hills murders and the events that they trigger, the aftermath, the trials, the verdicts, and the hearings have been the focus of ongoing research project for the past several years. And it's actually just super disturbing to find how bad the government and how everybody in the law enforcement spectrum just fucked this case up so hard. Having no past experience of this type of murder, the West Memphis Police Department allowed potential evidence to be destroyed at the site where the bodies of Stephen Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore were located. Officers who were present made very little... Excuse me.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. I panicked for a second. Perhaps they made very little apparent effort to preserve or properly document the scene or to make accurate notes. They effectively fucking whiffed it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
They
sounds like it.
They I can't understand. I don't understand what it is with fucking small town police departments having a huge, big profile case, and they're like, yeah, we'll handle it, don't you worry. And then they completely fuck it up. Every time.
Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't, like, I don't know. If you've never handled a
triple homicide involving children?
I was going to say large profile case. But if you haven't handled one of those, maybe you, I don't know, call someone in.
Yeah, you call the fucking Stadies in. You know,
who has handled it,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the Arkansas State Police, who have the Arkansas State Crime Lab and have, like, their fucking vast amount of resources. You basically, like, essentially, you get as much stuff as you can. You remove the bodies for autopsy without trying to disturb anything.
Yeah.
Call the fucking Stadies in. They come in. They get their shit. This case makes me very mad. If you can't tell, this case is so infuriating, and it's only gonna get worse.
I believe it.
It's only gonna get worse. So, perhaps this was due to negligence or the fact that they were inadequately trained and inexperienced in handling such a crime scene and the events that naturally follow a fucking triple homicide. Many unidentified people can be seen milling around the bodies in brief crime scene video, and the chief investigator, Gary Gitchell, can be seen smoking a cigarette well within the perimeter of the area.
Great.
So they're just like, forensic evidence, fuck it, who cares?
We don't need that.
Just like...
We already knew who we're gonna charge.
Oh, they fucking do. Strangely, like I said, a juvenile probation officer was present when the horrible discovery was made, and he indulged in speculation with a police officer about who might be responsible for such an unspeakable act. The probationary officer had been following the activities of a local teenager by the name of Damien Eccles for years. Years. Not like the last few months. Years. And it was his first instinct that the moody, dark-haired teen was responsible. It's got to be Damien.
Of course.
He listens to Ozzy Osbourne.
That's step number one.
Basically. In fact, he and the police officer agreed that Damien was the only person they felt was capable of, quote-unquote, capable of such a thing. Both men decided that the triple homicide was actually a bizarre satanic ritual sacrifice performed by a cult, which they imagined Damien to be the leader of.
Of course.
Again, fucking zero evidence. They've just trashed through a crime scene. They've taken barely any fucking notes. They have a video of random people walking next to the bodies who aren't even involved. And then they're like, it's fucking Damien. And so he's running a satanic cult, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, there is no evidence of any cult activity in the woods, and the investigating officers found nothing incriminating the next day when they visited Damien Eccles in his trailer in the nearby town of Marion. Now, the Damien Eccles describes this as like a really obscure event for him, because if they're coming there just to pin it on him, they're gonna be like, where were you last night? What were you up to?
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. They show up to his house, or right? Knock on the door. And by this point, he's already with somebody else, is expecting a child, right? And they go, hey Damien, we want to talk to you about something private. Is that okay if we do that? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I got nothing to hide. Like, whatever. I've been out of jail already. He's working a job. Like, he's fucking just trying to get his life together. And so they bring him in the back, and they're like, you been up to anything? Reading any fun books, or just kind of hanging out or whatever? Been working? And it's like, yeah, been doing construction stuff or whatever. Like, oh, that's cool. It's like, yeah. It's like, you know anything about you ever read the Satanic Bible? And he's like, no. And they're like, okay, like, you don't think about like Satan, like how Satan practices or anything? And he's like, no. And they're like, okay. And they would come by damn near every fucking day after that. Doing the same bullshit. Every day. Hey man, what are you up to? What's going on? What's going on? What are you doing? And they would do this constantly. When a piece of guidance equipment disappeared from a train that passed through West Memphis, Damien was questioned, even though the train didn't even slow down. When it passed through a small truck stop town, when a girl was killed 100 miles away, Damien was questioned. Basically, they're trying to fucking put a big ass target on his back, right? So it seems that this juvenile officer was looking for a crime that he could pin on what he saw as a sinister teenager, and the homicides of Stephen Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore were the perfect one. Though there wasn't any evidence to connect Damien to the victims or the murderers, the rumors, irresponsible police work, and the media created an environment where it was decided well before the trials that the three teenagers were devil worshippers who were guilty of murder.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Now, this next little bit gets me fucking extra heated. I'm already mad as is. But so a local woman who was in trouble for writing back checks agreed to assist the police in their efforts to investigate Damien by trying to record something incriminating with a hidden tape recorder. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty sus. Her motive may have been to help catch a killer, but it also might have been the $30,000 reward that was being offered. Because, she was going to go to fucking jail. She invited Damien to her house, but recorded nothing unusual. The same woman later urged her young son to tell the police what he had seen, that he had seen what had happened in the woods on May 5th. The boy told the police a series of strange tales about people speaking Spanish, riding motorcycles, and his eventual escape from bizarre characters by kicking them and running away. The boy's stories became more and more exaggerated, and although being asked, he agreed with police that Damien Echols had killed his friends. They eventually gave up on the boy, providing them with any reliable source of information that could be used in a case against Echols. Basically, just like, go lie to the police and tell them that he did this so we can get some money.
Okay.
Right?
That's good.
Super great. So, apparently, the boy's drawings of Damien show Damien with like glowing red eyes and armor holding up a bloody sword were not convincing enough for an arrest just yet. What they needed was something solid, obviously, because right now they have fucking nothing at all.
They got a drawing.
They have a drawing and they have barely any sort of forensic evidence that is mainly just covered in everybody else's stuff.
Sounds about right.
Blueprints, fucking spit, cigarette butts, whatever. Yeah. And since they had destroyed or lost most of the evidence that had been collected, their only option is hearsay. Fucking lying.
Great.
Yeah. So, finally, and this has been, and we have really jumped. So the last time that Damien Echols and Jesse Miss Kelly have seen each other has probably been, I don't know, 6 years? At least? 5 years, 6 years, probably within that range, right? Haven't seen each other in a long ass time. Long before, he ran off and then got arrested and went to fucking jail and then went to a psych ward for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, just long before that. So, finally, that boy's mother, the one who came up with the idea, gets another idea. She urges her mentally handicapped 17-year-old son named Jesse Miss Kelly to go to the police with another eyewitness account of having seen Echols kill the children. Jesse was with the police for 12 hours. Yet, only a small fragment of this lengthy day of questioning was recorded.
Great. So 12 hours.
12 hours.
First of all, 12 hours.
There's Nate.
12 hours of questioning.
Yeah.
Right? Plus a small amount only being recorded. Seems to me, maybe possibly.
The dog's good enough, yeah.
Not only is it an incredibly long amount of time to where if people like tend to give a false statement after what is it, like 5 hours? After like 5 hours, the like it's increased chance of them telling you what you want to hear. That's how you get false confessions.
Oh yeah. What's even worse is that I described him as being mentally challenged. Jesse Misskelley had an IQ of 72.
Okay.
By technical legal standards, he's declared legally retarded. That's what he's legally described as. He has basically the brain of a child. Essentially.
Great. It sounds like it was probably more coaching than a admission.
Absolutely. So in Life After Death, well, I don't want to spoil too much yet, but Damien was able to talk to Misskelley years later about what happened as much as he could, and basically, like, they'd be like, "So you saw Damien out there?" And he's like, "I don't know if I saw him out there." It's like, "Yeah, you saw him out there, didn't you? That's what you said." And he's like, "Yeah, I think that's what I said." And then they'd fucking record that, and then they would just do that over and over again. It's fucking infuriating. So nobody can ever know for sure what transpired before the recording started, but according to the taped fragment, Jesse had finally agreed to give the police a story that they were looking for. Despite an obvious unfamiliarity with the many facts of the murders, Jesse was guided carefully through the questioning by Inspector Gary Gitchell and Detective Bryn Ridge.
Is that the probation?
So, no, that's the other homicide detective.
Oh.
So, Gary Gitchell is the chief inspector. He's the guy who was standing on the scene pretty much like just feet away from the bodies, just smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
So that's that guy. He's also one of the guys that was showing up to Damien Eccles' house and just being like, "So what are you up to, Damien? What's going on?" That kind of thing.
Okay.
So, during the interrogation, Jesse managed to not only corroborate the unfounded suspicions of the West Memphis Police Department had of Damien Eccles, but he had managed to incriminate Damien's friends, Jason Baldwin and himself, in the crime.
Oh. Great.
Lumping everybody in. So, during Jesse's trial, Dr. Richard Offshee, a Pulitzer Prize winning expert on false confessions and police coercion, testified that the brief recording was a, quote, classic example of police coercion. Like,
I think having a man who has the IQ of 70 something.
It's 72.
72. Also kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's cut and dry. It's fucking it's and what's really crazy before we get to the trial. When we get in the trial, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's so much worse. He pointed out how the officers had heard Jesse state that the murders had taken place in the morning, but since they knew the victims had been killed had been in school all day, they had suggested to Jesse that they must have been later and that they was in the woods. Jesse agrees, because he was like, "Oh yeah, whatever you guys say." Oddly, the testimony of this expert witness, for whatever reason, was not heard in its entirety by the jury.
I think I know why it wasn't heard in entirety.
Oh, fucking A. And, fuck it, I'll say it now. Jason and Damien get tried together, and Misskelley gets tried by himself. And during Damien's, like trial, the judge was like, "Well, I have Misskelley's confession here. Do you want me to read it out loud?" And he's like, "Yeah. Read his confession out loud." Because he fucking knew. He knew that it was coerced.
Yeah.
And then the judge was like, I'm not going to do that. You can read it on your own time. Because he fucking knew. Everybody knew. Everybody in this case is a scumbag.
Yeah.
It's the one fucking time that the guys we're covering aren't the bad guys.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrifying. So photographs were taken of the room where Jesse was given a polygraph test. He, quote, passed the test, but was later told that he had failed it. Show a baseball bat leaning in the corner. Depending on how the West Memphis police officers normally use this unlikely tool in their questioning, it could only be provided and serious motivation to a young man who's an IQ of 72. Since very little of this 12-hour ordeal was recorded, we can't know what Jesse was subjected to. They probably fucking beat him. They probably just did whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah.
Who is he gonna call? The cops? He's talking to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this was like the fucking 70s, I'd be like, that's a different time. That's just a different time of law enforcement and people just being fucking scumbags, and they were like, I'll beat the fucking truth out of you, you know?
Yeah.
This was 93? You know? It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just icky. It's gross. So, without hesitation, Jesse Misskelley was arrested, and soon after, so was Jason Baldwin, along with an exclusive focus of the West Memphis Police Department's investigation on Damien Echols. So, portions of Jesse's statements to the police were leaked to the press and reported on the front page of the Memphis Commercial Appeal newspaper before any of the trials began, and the Chief Inspector Gary Gitchell was so sure of his police work that when asked by local media on a scale of 1 to 10 of how sure he had the correct suspects in custody, he fucking cheekily in a douchebag way said 11. Because I just assume that he doesn't understand the question. I just assume. Later, Gitchell would state on camera that, quote, there's never been a moment that I've ever doubted that we did not arrest the right individuals. Never in my mind, there was never been a doubt. If you look over his obvious Freudian slip, it's clear that Gitchell believes that there is no room for doubt and that his initial hunch was correct beyond question. Other than a mentally challenged guy's one testimony, and that's it. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
So to talk about Damien Echols' arrest, because Jason was just pretty much picked up. Like, he was fucking, you're coming with us.
Yeah.
Damien, like I said, since the fucking day after the murder happened, when the news broke, from then until now, has been getting nonstop, like, Damien, what's going on, man? What have you been up to?
Which almost sounds like harassment.
It fucking does sound like harassment. And what's really fucked up about it is that they came knocking on the door that day, right?
Yeah.
Come knocking, come to see what, and he's just like, by this point, he's sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm trying to watch fucking TV. Leave me alone. And so he opens the door and he goes, what? And there's fucking a shotgun pointing at his face. And they go like, Damien Echols, you're under arrest. And he's like, for what? And they all go, murder? And he's like, what? And then they fucking handcuff him and he's like, what? Like, it was literally just like that. He said it's one of the most, like, weird comedic parts of this entire story, of them just being like, I didn't expect him to, like, ask why. Like, they just expect him to be like, you never take me alive, and then, like, they fucking, like, put a fucking golf ball size hole in his head, like, I don't know.
I mean,
like, what do you mean? If someone knocks my door and you're like, you're under arrest, like, why?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I've been at home hanging out with my pregnant girlfriend and watching TV. It's like, what the fuck?
yeah. Well, like, and also, I don't know, I feel like, most, like, officers, when they go, you're under arrest, they usually go, you're under arrest for whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of just, you're under arrest. For what?
So, obviously, not a great look. And it's even worse that they give the media some of this little testimony and shit. Like they start giving like little things, right? Start swaying the public immediately because crowds of angry locals driven by the hysteric rumors of satanic human sacrifice and mysterious murdering cults wait outside the courthouses and throw rocks at these fucking kids, literally kids, as they're calling them names. They're calling them fucking baby killers. They're calling them devil worshippers. And they told their own tall tales to the media and to each other about how, like, I saw them in the woods and they were lighting candles and doing rituals and speaking in a fucking Latin language. Hysteria. Complete hysteria just wraps itself around this town. Which is a perfect place to have a giant murder case take place. So many people came forward with incredible yarns about the mysterious teenager named Damien Echols, and rumors are running rampant. John Mark Byers, the stepfather of one of the victims, told the media that his stepson's testicles had been found in a jar of alcohol under Damien's bed. Told that to the media. This, of course, is a huge fucking lie. But the local people heard it, and soon they got their own vivid memories of that jar. He's keeping body parts under his bed. Byers later claimed to have heard the jar of alcohol rumor from his police radio. Then it just goes on and on and on. Like they wanted to fucking kill these kids. That's all everybody wanted to do. A 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old. Technically, one is adult, but not by much.
But also, you consider the fact, I don't know, like, you think of a teenager, like, they're still a kid.
Yeah,
Sure.
these guys, they're literally fucking children. And one of them is literally has the brain of a child.
Yeah.
So Damien actually has a different series of events that lead him up to this. Like I said, you know, they asked him about like Ozzy Osbourne, and they fucking harassed him, right, for so long. And in his book, he talks about like the techniques, quote unquote, that detectives use to get him to talk. So they arrest him for murder. They point guns in his face. They fucking use any force that they deem necessary.
Yeah.
Probably throw him to the ground, get him in handcuffs. They take him to the station. He gets rocks and shit thrown at him.
They do a perp walk essentially.
Yeah, they're not shielding him by any means.
Yeah.
They're letting him get hit in the face with rocks and whatever people want to throw, fucking bottles. Who cares? They're just throwing it at him. So they get him into a room, and for the next 36 hours, they grill him. They give him like sleep deprivation. They give lack of food. They pick him up. They throw him into the walls. They throw him into the desk, and they're like, "Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened, Damien. All this can go away if you just tell me what happened." And they just do that for 36 hours until his body is essentially black and blue.
And that is how you get false confessions.
Mm-hmm. So, 36 hours after all this, a very battered Damien Echols and Jason Baldwin are brought into a court in front of a bunch of cameras, and he has 6 police officers surrounding him. He's completely shackled, surrounding him like he's fucking Hannibal Lecter. And the judge goes, "How do you plead?" He goes, "Not guilty." Fucking obviously.
Yeah.
And they go, "All right," and they take him back into the cells, and guess what? More beating. They fucking beat the fuck out of him for a little bit longer. They just don't give him food. They just go like, I forgot we didn't feed you the last 24 hours. Silly me. They go, "Can I get food now?" And he's like, "Ooh, ugh. We're already past 36 hours in." So, and this will become a very long set of repeating events. So, during Miss Kelly's trial, Richard Offshee, an expert on false testimony, like said like, this is obviously coerced. Why is nobody talking about this? Including, for example, an admission that Miss Kelly watched Damien sexually assault one of the boys. Police had initially suspected that the victims had been sexually assaulted due to injuries on their bodies. However, there's like absolutely no forensic like probability of that even being a thing. And they go through this, especially for him, a relatively short trial for Miss Kelly. And on May 5th, 1994, Miss Kelly was found guilty of 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. They gave him life plus 40 years in prison.
A man with a IQ of 72.
Yes.
Great.
3 weeks later, Eccles and Baldwin go on trial. The prosecution accused the 3 young men of committing a satanic murder. The prosecution. Satanic murder. That's their fucking reasoning behind this. With 0 physical evidence, 0 DNA, and 1 very coarse confession. That's it.
Great.
The prosecution called Dale W. Griffiths, a graduate of the unaccredited Columbia Pacific University, as an expert in the occult to testify to the murders were a satanic ritual. And unfucking surprisingly, the defense attorneys that were given to Damon Eccles and Jason Baldwin are paid by the county. Right?
Yeah, they're court appointed.
They're court appointed. Make it even fucking worse is that when Damien at one point leaned over to his court appointed attorney and was like, "Hey, this is fucking bullshit. Like, you need to object to this because this is just straight up hearsay, saying I'm a devil worshiper. Like, I'm not a devil worshiper. I go to fucking Catholic church. I'm not a devil worshiper. Like, I don't do that." And then the guy just goes, "Listen, we work with this judge a lot. I just don't want to piss him off."
Okay.
Says that to his client, who's possibly going to go to fucking prison for the rest of his life.
Wow.
I don't want to piss the judge off. So, unsurprisingly, on March 19th, 1994, Baldwin was found, both of them were found guilty on 3 counts of murder. Specifically, Eccles being described as the ringleader of this. Baldwin was obviously sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. And then Eccles, since he's described as the ringleader, they sentenced this 18-year-old kid to death row.
Jesus.
You're going straight to the fucking hole immediately.
Wow.
With 0 evidence. Can you understand why I'm pissed now? Yeah. You can see why this case gets me so fucking like...
Yeah.
This case eventually pans out, but in due time. At the trial, the defense team argued that the news articles from a time could have been a source for Eccles' knowledge about the mutilation. Eccles said that knowledge was limited to what he saw on TV, because he would say things in trial. He's like, "I drank their blood," like, like being a fucking he's a fucking 18-year-old sarcastic prick.
Yeah.
Like he's not taking in this shit seriously, because he's like, "You guys don't have anything. You guys have nothing." And then they were like, "He says he drank the kid's blood, dude. We need to fucking fry this kid." Like they just immediately were like, type. And he's like, no, fucking back that shit up. And his lawyer's just like, huh? And not paying attention. Like nobody's looking out for these kids. And it's infuriating. So the prosecution claims that Eccles' knowledge was nonetheless too close to the facts, even though the prosecution and the law enforcement are the ones leaking facts about the case to the media.
Yeah.
Since there was no public reporting of drowning or that one victim had been mutilated more than others, Eccles testified that Detective Ridge's description of earlier conversation, which was not recorded, by the way, regarding those particular details was inaccurate, and indeed some other claims by Ridge were, quote, lies. Mara Leverett, an investigative journalist and author of Devil's Knot, argues that Eccles' information may have come from police leaks, such as Detective Gitchell's comments to Mark Byers that circulated amongst the local public.
Not only that, like, when you're interrogating someone for 12 hours, whether you take a swap 6 hours in or whatever, you're more likely to end up saying something as well and leaking
the
information that he is giving you.
So when Damien actually talks about his interrogation, they would come in and beat the fuck out of him, essentially.
Yeah.
And then Kitchell would be like, whew, I worked up a sweat. All right, Briars, get in here. And they'd be like, yeah, I was just telling about how that kid had shoelaces tied behind his back and then was drowned. And then Damien hears that and then it's like, so what do you know about the case? I guess he was drowned. He's like, how did you know that? That's literally what happened.
Yep.
It's fucking Anyway, the defense team objected when the prosecution attempted to question Eccles about his past violent behaviors, but the defense objections were overruled.
Surprise.
Even though all his prior arrests were all juvenile. Have nothing to do with... None of them are violent.
I was going to say, they're not violent.
They're non-violent. In fact...
He broke into a trailer.
They're literally all they're all just...
Stole a candy bar.
They're all just theft.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense. So there has been widespread criticism of the handling of the crime scene by police. Miss Kelly's former attorney, Dan Stidham, cites multiple substantial police errors at the crime scene, categorizing it as literally trampled, especially the creek bed. The bodies, he said, had been removed from the water before the coroner arrived to examine the scene and determine the state of rigor mortis, allowing the bodies to decay on the creek bank and to be exposed to sunlight and insects. And also by other wildlife, because that's a thing that I kept out, but other wildlife was involved of the predator variety. The police did not telephone the coroner until almost 2 hours after the discovery of the floating shoe, resulting in a late appearance by the coroner. He was probably, I don't know, just fucking smoking cigarettes and botching another crime scene. Officials failed to drain the creek in a timely manner and secure any sort of possible evidence of the water. The creek was sandbagged after the bodies were pulled from the water. So, after everything washes away, evidence-wise. Stidham has called the coroner's investigation extremely substandard. There was a small amount of blood found on the scene that was never tested. According to the documentary Paradise Lost and Paradise Lost 2, which Paradise Lost is, if you guys really, really want to dive into this case, watch Paradise Lost and then read Damien Eccles' book, and it'll give you the fucking full scope of how fucked this case is. No blood was found at the crime scene, indicating the murder location of the bodies were found was not necessarily the location where the murders actually happened. Much like the police said, it happened right here in the creek, but evidence proves otherwise. But of course, they don't choose to believe that. After the initial investigation, police failed to control disclosure of information and speculation about the crime scene. According to Leverett, police reports were a mess. To call them disorderly would be putting it mildly. Leverett speculated that the small-town police force was overwhelmed by the crime scene, and it was unlike anything they had ever investigated, which we talked about.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Police refused an unsolicited offer to aid in consultation from the violent crimes experts of the Arkansas State Police.
Oh, of course, yes.
They offered their help, and they said, nah, we'll fuck it up ourselves. The critics suggested that this was due to the police department being under investigation by the Arkansas State Police for the suspected theft from the Crittenden County Drug Task Force. That's a whole nother fucking side of this that I didn't even go into. They're taking drugs. It's so much. It's just a super corrupt police department. If you guys can't tell, it's fucked. It's so bad.
I can tell.
It's so bad. So Leverett further noted that some of the physical evidence was stored in paper sacks obtained from a supermarket with the supermarket's name printed on the bags, rather than in containers known and controlled origin. So it's like, they have like fingerprints on it and like people's hair, follicles, and a bunch of other shit. Just because they're like, fuck it, just go to the store and get it back. Throw it in there. When police speculated about the assailant, the juvenile probation officer assisting in the scene of the murder speculated that Eccles was capable of committing the murder, stating, "It looks like Damien Eccles finally killed someone."
One thing you mentioned earlier was you were like saying how this guy thought that he was the only person capable of it.
Yeah.
It's like the saying that like with dogs, any dog can bite.
Mm-hmm.
Any fucking human could kill someone.
Yeah.
They're all capable of it.
We did a whole episode about like 9-year-olds who kill people.
Like they're all fucking capable of doing it. Most people just don't.
Yeah. Most people just don't.
No.
Most of them. And it's just like, this what makes this case so incredibly infuriating for me, because it's like, they're kids.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that kids can't kill, because we did a whole episode about kids who kill. But usually there's a series of patterns.
It's also not as common.
It's very not as common, but it's also, there's like a series of things that follow one after another and be like, little Timmy started picking up roadkill. Little Timmy's starting to find live animals and kill live animals. Little Timmy's now stabbing people with forks. Little Timmy just stabbed someone in the neck with a fork. It's fucking carries on, right? It's one after another. I don't, it doesn't make any sense of put it bluntly, a mentally retarded guy who has the IQ of a child, who hasn't talked to these two fucking guys in years, being like, yeah, I went with them and we just killed them. It's like, why? It's like, what motive does any of these guys have? 'Cause Satan. It's like, no. Doesn't make any sense.
Or just like, and now this is where you say
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that you killed him.
Yep, this is when we turn on the little recorder and you say you did it. So Brent Turvey, a forensic scientist and criminal profiler, stated in the film Paradise Lost 2 that human bite marks could have been left on at least one of the victims. However, these potential bite marks were first noticed in photographs years after the trials and were not inspected by a board-certified medical examiner until 4 years after the murders. The defense's expert testified that the marks in question was not an adult bite mark, while other experts put on by the state concluded that there was no bite marks at all. The state's experts had examined the actual bodies for any marks, and others concluded expert photographs analysis of injuries. Upon further examination, it was concluded that if these marks were in fact bite marks, they did not match the teeth of any of the three convicted. So you have, again, zero physical evidence.
Yeah.
One guy's coerced testimony. And they sent an 18-year-old kid to death row.
Wild.
And 2 of them to life in prison without possibility of parole. So, in May 1984, the 3 defendants appealed their convictions. The convictions were upheld on a direct appeal. In June 1996, Ms. Kelly's lawyer, Dan Stidham, was preparing to make an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. In 2007, Eccles petitioned for a retrial based on the statute permitting a post-conviction testing of DNA evidence due to technological advances made since 1994, which might provide an exoneration for the wrongfully convicted. The petition failed when the original trial judge, Judge David Burnett, tell that guy to go fuck himself, disallowed the presentation of this information to his court. This ruling was now in turn thrown out by the Arkansas Supreme Court as to all 3 defendants on November 4th, 2010.
I hope that judge's decisions keep him up at night.
I hope that judge is dead. I hope he fucking had a heart attack in his car and fucking shit himself. Too far? I don't know. I hope the real Satanist fucking got him. So back it up a little bit, all right?
Yeah.
We're at 1 hour and 10. Jeez. Like probably. So again, like there's just there's certain things about this case, like John Byers, the adoptive father of the victim, Christopher Byers, gave a knife to a cameraman, Doug Cooper, who was working with documentary filmmakers Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky while making the film Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
The knife was a folding hunting knife manufactured by Kershaw. According to the statements given by Berlinger and Sinofsky, Cooper informed them of this receipt of the knife on December 19, 1993. After the documentary crew returned to New York, Berlinger and Sinofsky were reported to have discovered what appeared to be blood on the knife. HBO executives ordered them to return the knife to the West Memphis Police Department. The knife was not received at the West Memphis Police Department until January 8th, 1994. However, after blood was found on the knife, Breyer stated that he had only used it once to cut deer meat. I don't know. People are fucking weird. I just don't like. Why would you give? You go, oh, you guys are investigating my son's murder. You want this knife that has my blood on it? That's essentially what this is.
Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if you had said like, and then they cleaned it off for him. They cleaned the blood off for him because they were like, your knife's dirty. I got you. Don't worry about it. At this point.
The West Memphis Police Department's just like this looks like physical evidence. And they fucking start cleaning it. So
they soak it in bleach and they're like, your knife is really dirty. I don't know if you know that. We cleaned it for you. Yeah. Made sure there's nothing on it now.
Yeah. And you guys ready to get even more mad? If you guys aren't already super mad, let's get even more mad. Right?
Sounds good.
The fucking bitch who put these literal kids in prison, who helped start all of this bullshit, Vicky Hutchinson. Fuck you. But guess what? Now everybody knows you're a massive scumbag, because in October 2003, the one who played the part in getting 3 literal children sent to fucking prison goes to the Arkansas Times and goes, I might have fibbed a little bit.
Okay.
She admits to lying.
Okay.
She admits to having her son, Mitz Kelly, and go like, hey, go tell the cops you did it.
It's wild.
Fucking insane. She also claims that an audio tape the police said was unintelligible that they eventually lost was perfectly clear and contained no incriminating statements. It's like there's just the police are just casually just losing a lot of information that seems highly important to a case. Doesn't that seem like it to you?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's fucking wild that she waited that long, 10-ish years, to be like, so I might have did an oopsie daisy.
Yeah.
What the fuck were you doing in the first place?
Oh, yeah. So, finally in 2007, crime took place in 93, DNA collected from the crime scene was finally fucking tested.
Oh,
finally.
Good.
None was found to match DNA from either Eccles, Baldwin, or Miss Kelly.
Of course.
A hair was found with non-inconsistent with Stephen Branch's stepfather, Terry Hobbs, was found tied to the knots used to bind one of the victims. The prosecutors, while coinciding with the no DNA evidence tied to the accused crime scene, said the state stands by its convictions of Eccles and his co-defendants. Great. Additionally, after the murders of Pamela Hobbs on May 5th, 2009, declaration in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Arkansas, Western Division indicates, Jesus Christ, courts have such long names.
Yeah.
Indicates that one hair was consistent with the hair of Terry's friend, David Jacoby, end quote. And the section says, additionally, after the murders of my sister Jolynn McConney and I found in Terry's nightstand a knife that Stevie carried with him constantly, which had been his believed was with him when he died. It was a pocket knife that was my father had given to Stevie, and Stevie loved that knife. I had been shocked that the police did not find it with Stevie when they found his body. I had always assumed that my son's murderer had taken the knife during the crime. I could not believe it was with Terry's things. He never told me why he had it. Also, it says, also, my sister, Jo Lynn, told me that she saw Terry wash clothes, bed linens, and curtains from Stevie's room at an odd time around the night of the murders.
Seems a little suspicious.
Yeah. It's fucking just, it's horrific. So, around this time is when, sorry, a little bit before this time is when today Damien Echols is obviously on death row.
Yeah.
And he's effectively being shaken down by the guards all the time. They'll come in, they'll break his shit, not pay for it. They'll flip him off and be like, suck a dick and whatever. And then like he's watching people who are much like Jesse Miskelly, mentally challenged, coming up and down death row, going in to a cell, or coming out for the final time. Constantly. And he comes to, they go, hey, your death day is March, whatever. It's coming up. So start thinking about that. Make sure you get that in your fucking head. Start rolling that around for you. And his court-appointed attorney, you know, the person who's supposed to be in charge of all this stuff, goes, don't worry, the first one's like, it's fine. Like the first one never actually works. Like they never actually do it. You know, you get a little appeal, you get a stay of execution, it's fine. They didn't know that. They didn't know that you have to like put a thing in to be like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
With like a month prior, they were like, oh fuck, and then they like immediately filled in the form. They're like, done, saved you, bud.
Court-appointed
What
lawyer.
saved a man from getting killed was a fucking lawyer who was like, what was I forgetting? Oh yeah, make sure you didn't die. That's
Wild.
it. And Damien Echols, the stories that I have heard of just his life over the years upon years he spent in that tiny cell is horrifying. About being in a room where it was so infested with rats that he'd have to tuck his blanket up under his mattress as far as he could, so it was like basically pulling him tight to the bed, because otherwise rats would jump up on the blanket and jump up on the bed and jump up and try to like bite his face and shit. In a federal owned prison.
I can't say I'm that surprised.
There was rats and fucking roaches and everything. And if that wasn't worse, it was the constant guards coming in and just beating the fuck out of them just because they could, or the getting your food and there being like a dead spider in it, or if you even got lucky enough that they gave you food.
That's insane.
That's just what we know about Damien Echols. So who fucking knows what they were doing to Baldwin and Miskelly?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because they separated them. So, in July of 2008, it was revealed that Ken Arnold, the jury foreman of the Echols-Baldwin trial, had discussed the case with an attorney prior to the beginning of the deliberations. Arnold was accused of advocating for the guilt of the West Memphis Three and sharing his knowledge of inadmissible evidence like the Jesse Miskelly statements with other jurors. At the time, legal experts agreed that this issue could result in reversal of the convictions of Jesse Baldwin and Damien Echols. In December 2008, attorney, now judge, Daniel Sidham, who represented Miskelly in 1994, testified at a post-conviction relief hearing. Sidham testified under oath that during the trial, Judge David Burnett erred by making an improper communication with the jury about his deliberations. Basically, he just fucking let the prosecution be like, yeah, just when they fucking did it, man. Just listen. Don't you guys want to go home? It's just that. That's all they did. And I could go on and on and on, but basically they go come to 2011.
Jeez.
And the way it was described by Damien Echols is that they basically come to him and they go, if you guys plead guilty to the crime, we're just going to let you go. We're just going to let you out. You'll be a convicted felon, right?
Yeah.
But you're free. You're free.
I don't trust that.
You're free.
I don't fucking trust that.
No, that's the plea deal. If you guys say that you guys did this and you guys testify and you go and you guys write your little you dot your I's and cross your T's and go, I did this. You're gone. You can just leave. That's the deal. And of course, Damien was like, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not gonna do that." And then his attorney's like, "You're gonna want to fucking do that because they're gonna fucking fry you. So you need to do this." So after weeks of negotiations, on August 19th, 2011, Eccles, Baldwin, and Meskelly were released from prison as part of a plea deal, making the hearings ordered by the Arkansas Supreme Court unnecessary. The three entered into an Alford plea deals, which, like I said, basically you plead guilty and then they let you out. Stephen Braga, an attorney with Robes and Gray, who took up Eccles' defense on a pro bono basis beginning in 2009, negotiated with the plea agreement with prosecutors. And I just want to shout out a few people because there are some really high-profile people behind the scenes helping this case. And like, there was one of the biggest supporters of Damien Eccles, which I found the most shocking, and is also apparently a huge friend to him today. It was Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder was immediately, when he heard about this case, was like, "We're gonna fucking get you out. I don't care what it takes. We're gonna get you out."
Yeah.
And on tours, when they would come through Arkansas, he'd, like, before the show or after the show or whatever he could, he'd go down there, get a meeting with Damien Eccles, and they would just sit there and have a conversation, be like, "Oh yeah, I just did this tour. We just played here. We just played that." Yeah. And he was giving him stories of the road and all that stuff. And he was a big supporter. Went on VH1 and was like, released the West Memphis 3 now. It was showing, like, was wearing shirts during interviews. This is like, release the West Memphis 3. Was huge supporter. And then, even more surprisingly, Marilyn Manson was a huge supporter of the West Memphis 3 and was helping. Him and Eddie Vedder were just fucking channeling as much money as they could to just, like, the best lawyers, getting the best defenses, like, putting money on their books, whatever they needed, just doing it.
Yeah.
And
wild.
It's crazy.
I can't say I'm terribly surprised about Marilyn Manson, though, because we all know him.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and what's crazy is this is pre-Columbine.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry, this is no.
Well, like,
no, this was the crimes were pre-Columbine.
Yeah.
So I feel like he kind of was like, hey,
he's taking a lot of shit.
Yeah, I feel, well, because, like, during Columbine, they're like, fucking Marilyn Manson did this shit, dude. They've tried to pin that shit on him fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just was like, I understand. Like, I'm not in prison, but I understand. It's like I get it.
I mean, that man had so many rumors about him, and, like, most of them revolving around
sucking his own dick. Yeah, we know.
There was that one. I was gonna say Satanism, but yeah, no, there was always the rumor.
There's always, yeah.
I think I heard that one in middle school. It's still going around, apparently. That
he removed a rib.
He removed a set of ribs. And
yeah, it's great.
He probably is like, I fucking love that.
Honestly, I don't think he did it.
No. So each man then entered, like I said, the Alford plea to lesser deal charge of first and then second degree murder while verbally stating their innocence. Judge Lasser then sentenced them to time served. A total of 18 years and 78 days.
Oh, jeez.
Almost 20 fucking years. and they were each given a suspended imprisonment sentence of 10 years. If they were to reoffend, they could be sent back in prison for 21 years. And it's like, God damn.
Yeah.
You know, it's, oh man, it's terrifying. And it's, what's really quite something to me is that when they had all been separated, right? And then when they finally did their plea deals, Jesse Miss Kelly's lawyer was dragging his feet and was like, "Yeah, I'll tell him about the plea deal later." And they're like, "Yeah, we need to know like by tomorrow. So you're gonna probably want to do that today." They're like, yeah, we'll got a couple weeks. We can do it. And they're like, no, you fucking piece of shit. We're gonna get this done tonight. And eventually they're like, if you don't call your client in the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna have you disbarred. And he was like, all right, man, Jesus. And he called him and was like, do you want to do this? And he was like, no, I like prison. I don't want to go, because he has the fucking brain of a child. And he's like, these are my friends. I'm hanging out with my friends every day. Why would I want to leave? Why would I want to go out there? I can stay here with my friends. And eventually, like, Damien Eccles and Jason were able to talk with him and be like, if you don't leave, we don't get to leave. So you need to figure your fucking bullshit out. And he was like, yeah, I think I'll leave. And so they get him into the van, and they're all shackled together, and they're wearing like suits.
Yeah.
Because they have to dress nice. And like they said, like the guards were like bobbing their legs up and down and like just kind of looking around, and they're like, today's the day, boys. Like, this is the last time you ever have to be in this fucking van. Like, they're just hyping them up. The guards, the same ones who, you know, were super shitty to him forever. And like, the last time you ever have to do this. And then the guards like did the one nice kind thing of, they're like, no matter what happens, if I say the word drop, you get on the ground as fast as possible. Because they expected someone to come out of the fucking crowd and put a round into him.
Oh, geez.
They expected to be killed. But they're like, once we take these shackles off, nothing we can do. You know, other than botch another murder case. So it's fucking crazy. Factors cited by the prosecutor, Scott Ellington, for agreeing to the plea deal included that 2 of the victims' families had joined the cause for the defense, and that the mother of the witness who had testified about Eccles' confession had questioned her daughter's truthfulness, and that of the state crime lab employee who had collected firearm evidence at the Eccles Baldwin's home after the arrest had died. Fucking so on and so forth. Basically, there was one of the fathers of Christopher, the same one who was like gave them the documentary guys and the knife. Like, I don't know if it was just like a weird, like he was like didn't know what to do and was just like being awkward and was like, take this thing, like, remember me. I don't know, but he had a whole quote of like, because he's like, I hated them for so long for what they did, but over the years he started to realize that like, oh my God, they didn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life trying to get them out of prison. And he fucking did. He truly tried his hardest. And now it's, God, fucking 30 years? Over 30 years since the West Memphis 3 case.
Yeah. Did they ever like actually find out who did it?
Well, that's what I was about to get to.
Oh.
About to hit you with the last little line. 31 years since the West Memphis 3 case. 0 convictions, true convictions.
Jesus.
3 false convictions. People who spent almost 20 years in prison. Now, luckily, thankfully, they're all living very awesome lifestyles. Damien Eccles seems like a really cool guy, and I'm actually going to try to get him to do an interview with us on HGO. He's been fucking killing it, and I just got to shout out like just a few. I mean, obviously Eddie Vedder, obviously fucking the shit. Marilyn Manson, of course, the shit. But the Innocence Project, which is one of the best things that has ever been created. They're going to people who are in prison, who are on death row, who are wrongfully convicted, re-looking into their case and trying to exonerate people. And it's because of people like that Damien Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miss Kelly are finally free. And now maybe the West Memphis Police Department can figure their bullshit out and actually solve a fucking homicide.
I think they botched it too much to ever figure it out.
Did everybody have fun?
I wouldn't classify that as fun. How about you, Marty?
Are you full of rage?
Full of young, dumb, and thirsty for rage.
Mm-hmm. Fucking Christ. And that's just one case of the Satanic Panic. There's so many more.
There's a lot of them.
So many more. When I was looking into this case, the shit that I found digging up the Satanic Panic. Oh, and the one thing that I was going to mention that I forgot to even mention, but I'll do it now. Over the years, we felt like I talked about it a lot, how I felt like there was a kind of dying down of the Satanic Panic, right? It's the re-rise of occultism in the United States. There's a lot of shows about ghosts and vampires and all this spooky shit.
Yeah.
And we're too busy looking up at the skies and thinking about aliens or watching TikToks on our phone or doing whatever. But over the last couple years, I've been noticing that we're starting to creep back up the Satanic Panic ladder.
I mean, history always repeats itself, so I'm not surprised.
I have been seeing so much anti-satanic propaganda over the last year. It's been insane. It's been like the little Nas X video, right? Or the Doja Cat thing, or this thing, or this thing, or this thing, and this thing, and this thing. And it's all just one big, giant fucking mess that's just going to spiral again and again and again. And at some point, 3 kids are going to get caught up and fucking snagged. And I'm just waiting for it to happen. I guarantee it's in the next few years. Guarantee it's going to happen in the next few years. It's going to happen all over again. It's going to be some fucking hick town in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they're going to be like, it's the devil trial of the century. Guaranteed.
Probably.
Let me tell you something, dude. The devil's pretty cool. All right? I got him on my shirt. All right? He's a pretty nice guy. So, everybody have fun?
Not gonna say it was fun.
I had a good time.
Yeah. See, Marty knows what's up, dude. This is just the one case where, like, the fraction of the crime is like, and we covered it for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the fucking hour and 33 we've been doing, it's just been like, you want to talk about how corrupt the criminal justice system is? Because we just talk about them fucking up investigations all the time. It's never like, we never talk about like, oh yeah, they go to trial. Like they fuck up the investigation, and then eventually they're like, my God, we have the evidence. And then they go and they arrest the guy, and the guy's like, I did it. And they're like, and they fucking high five each other, and they punch him in the ribs, like, it's like, yeah, this is just awful.
Yeah.
It's just, you were gonna send a literal child to the fucking chair, brother. So.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about the criminal justice system, go watch or go listen to episode 2 of HGO, Botched Executions. You can hear all about the ways they fucked that up. Also, when I was researching this episode, I was looking into because we talked about like a few weeks ago about the Alabama nitrogen hypoxia.
Yeah.
Execution first ever time being done in the U.S. So on and so forth, and how it was essentially botched, right?
Yeah.
First one and done. Probably don't do anymore. I want you guys to guess. What do you think has the least amount of botched attempts via execution?
Hangings.
I disagree with that one.
I'll pull up the statistics.
They're so commonly done wrong though.
Oh, okay.
Because like if you have to be like certain height above.
What about electric chair?
Well,
I'm gonna go with firing squad.
it's firing squad. Yeah. So out of the
I know my executions.
out of the like the big list of like ways to execute people, firing squad has the least amount of like botches because
I mean, it's just a bunch of people shooting at one person.
yeah,
It's kind of hard to fuck up.
I'm gonna pull up the thing right here, but so Marty, you said hanging originally, right?
Yeah.
So at least within this was updated in 2014. So obviously now this could have been changed, but I'm gonna say it's probably still pretty relevant. Hanging at the time had a total of 2,721 executions. Jeez, 85 botched. Electrocution had the most amount of like choices, right? At 4,374 with 84 botched. Lethal injection had 1,057 choices. 75 of those were botched, which has the highest percentage of botched ratio per any sort of death at 7.12%.
Damn.
And then firing squad has the lowest amount of choices at 34 and has fucking 0 botched deaths. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of a hard one to botch.
Yeah, you just shoot them.
I mean, like,
And I just want to ask a question to the group. If you guys were gonna go, you guys are on death row. Like, say you totally did it. You totally did it. No questions asked.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I did it. Well, how are you going out?
firing squad.
Firing squad, Marty.
I would probably go firing squad.
I don't want
But
any
from-
fucking.
It doesn't have. Listen, it doesn't have to
I'd
be
say like firing squad, like from behind.
Oh,
Like
that's
where you
pretty-
don't see it, and it's just boom, lights out.
Yeah, just like fucking like Russian mob hit.
Yeah.
Like just take you out, dude. Like you're brushing your teeth in your cell. Comes behind you. Boom. Like, it's like got him, dude.
I don't want any chance of it being botched because that just sounds fucking awful.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do like something a little more fun. Probably make it a little more like showstopper, Like
what?
I don't know, like just go to like be like, because that dude from Alabama, they're like, you want to die by hypoxia? No one's died by this before, and he's like, fuck it. I'd be like,
That one actually has the highest.
yeah, it's 100%. Yeah. I would just go and be like, does the government have a new nuclear bomb? Like, can they just drop a nuclear bomb on my forehead? I'll just stand in the middle of fucking Nevada and just like look up as it just drops. That's kind of cool. Either that or I would, my last meal, I'd be like, I want 10 pounds of popcorn kernels and a gallon of water. That's it. And then I would just be like, and just like be clearing it till like it was like, I'm like almost puking up popcorn kernels. And I'd be like, no, fucking electrocute me. It's just like coming out of my mouth, dude. Like, yay, popcorn.
you.
I knew I should have taken my kid to work day and execution day.
You were bringing up like the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Which just made me think about how people were donating their body to science,
Mm-hmm.
and the fucking military just bought them, and they were like, "What happens if we make this explode?"
Well, I mean, it was like, so we're getting, this is like totally like beyond the show now, but it was the whole story of the lady who had donated her body to science, and the U.S. government was like, we'll buy that body for science. Wink. And they're like, okay. And they're like, what are you going to do it for? And they're like, science. And then they filmed it, and then they like had like a whole test footage of her having her fucking like in a chair, and they shot a rocket at her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, because they're supposed to like give the body back afterward, after they're done doing their shit, so they can like cremate him or whatever. And then someone was like, so where's my mom's body? And they're like, ooh, she's with the wind. She's one with scenery now. Listen, we just saved you money. All right? That rocket.
You were gonna spread her ashes anyways, right?
Hey, listen. Funerals cost like $10,000 on the minimum, dude. Right? And that rocket was like $48,000. So, kind of fucking, it's kind of better. What do you think? Now birds get to eat her off cactuses. Oh, if you laughed at that, you're a sick fuck, and that's why we love you. Thanks so much for joining us on Hot Scaries and Omens this week, and joining us with the West Memphis 3 and the Satanic Panic. It's been very interesting. If you want to leave me death threats, please do. At HGOPodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at HGOPodcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Hot Scaries and Omens. If you want to follow me directly on Instagram, you can at I Hunt the Hunted. It's right there on the screen. And for those of you who are watching this or listening, if you go to twitch.tv/I Hunt the Haunted, I'll have a stream schedule up, and you can watch me on the internet yell and be mad. Live instead of pre-recorded a day earlier. Exactly. And I'm going to pass it off. Oh, one more thing. New MFA record coming out March 29th.
Ooh.
And there's a live show March 29th at the
6 on Belmont.
That's what it is. Go check out the MFA, the Motherfuckers of the Apocalypse Instagram. You can find that on there. And I'll pass it off today.
Hi. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm so far over. At Lunar Thrill. You can also follow our dog at Spirit the Turf.
Spirit the Turf.
Martine.
You can follow me on Instagram at Get Over There. You can follow the MFA at the Motherfuckers of the Apocalypse new show, March 29th, new record, March 29th. There we go. Oh, yeah. I pressed the wrong button. I was too focused on what I was going to say.
Dude was just over there looking
Hold
like...
on.
Want to try it again? 3, 2, 1, go.
You can follow me on Instagram at Ghetto Feather. You can follow the MFA at Motherfuckers of the Apocalypse. New album, Post-Apocalypse Blood Pressure, coming out March 29th. Show March 29th at the 6 Belmont.
Most of that was words.
The 6 out of Mama.
You can follow me on Instagram.
That's great. I love that for you. Remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And hail Satan!
Or take a nap. That's what spirits can do.
You can follow me on Instagram.